Oh, you go.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Monday to 2. This is our second session, our series of 6. Many of you were probably here last week for our first session. But, we have a good program planned for you today. But before I get into that and introduce our speaker, my name is Ernie Monsheen. I'm from the Sundays at 2 committee. Just a few housekeeping things. If you have a phone, please turn it off. That would be nice. Secondly, restrooms are in the back if you need them. And then stick around afterwards. We'll have time to ask questions of our speaker, and we'll also have refreshments, coffee, cookies, whatnot. So hopefully that'll be of interest to you. On your seat, just so you know, you had a form. If you can fill it out, we appreciate it. We need feedback, like anybody else needs feedback, not only for the speaker, but for our Sundays at 2 program in our library. So if you could please fill that out, leave it on the table in the front as you leave, we'd appreciate it. There's even pencils up here that you can use. Just so that, yes? Oh. In the front, we also have an overall schedule for the program, Sundays at 2, our 6 sessions, which run not every Sunday, but up through March 10th. I won't go through that. I'll let you do that on your own. And then finally, next week, we have another session called Cardiac Care in the 21st Century with Dr. Kenneth Ellenbogen. You might be interested in that, but it will be, I'm sorry, did I say next week? Sunday, February 11th. So we don't go every week. We go, periodically through March, into March. So, anyway, today's session. Oh, before I do that, one last housekeeping. The Sundays at 2 committee works year-round to put together this 6-part program. This is our 28th year, if you didn't know. No, I wasn't here at the beginning. So, but I've been doing it for a while. I'd like to introduce the members of our committee, if I could. If they could just stand and wave. We have Sheila Stepko in the back, or all in the back. Lucia Scholwer, Sandy Toomey, Bud Ward, and not here is Pat Tracy. She couldn't make it today. And then also on our committee is Alice Cooper, the director of the library, and our technical advisor and manager, Shelley Robertson, who makes things work, which is very important. So that's our committee, and we'll be continuing to work on this program as we go along. So today's program is called Lancaster 2035, Development, Growth, and Change in the Northern Neck. So you're going to hear a lot about the local area, and you're going to hear from our speaker today. His name is Paul Sciacchitano. And Paul is chairman of the Lancaster 2035 and has been a resident of the Northern Neck since 1994. He's a 50-year veteran of the financial services industry, including his last 22 years as managing director of Wells Fargo. He is also formerly CEO of Bay Trust and CFO of Bay Banks of Virginia. He's a former commissioned officer in the U.S. Air Force and a 1972 graduate of VMI with a BA in economics and a graduate of the Stonier School of Bank Management at the University of Delaware. He has been married to Karen for 41 years and has 2 children living in Miami, New York, and Karen's here with him today. So just a little bit more on that. Paul has been at the forefront of the development of the Lancaster 2035 strategic plan, which is what you're going to hear from today. He's currently serving as chairman of the Citizens Business Relations Advisory Committee, also known as CBRAC. CBRAC was established by the Lancaster Board of Supervisors in 2019 to tackle the loss of workforce-age residents to promote a business-friendly environment for growth and prosperity in Lancaster County. So if you're interested in that, you're going to learn a lot today. So without further comments, Paul, chuck it.
Okay, guys, so the first thing I want you to do is complete this. Hopefully I get a good rating right now. It's great to see everyone here, and I'm really, really excited to be able to present this plan to you. It's been a challenge for our committee, and I got to tell you, it's It's pretty exciting to be able to tell you that the Board of Supervisors Thursday night adopted this plan in its entirety. In previous sessions, they had adopted various elements of it, but it wasn't until Thursday that they formally adopted the entire plan. So it's exciting for me, seeing that Ernie mentioned since 2019, we've been working on it, and it's been a great group that I'm going to introduce in a moment. And so you heard what CBRAC is. We're a group of community and business leaders appointed by the Board of Supervisors to recommend improvements in Lancaster County's future. The objectives have been to analyze the business climate and to make recommendations to improve the county's future viability. The committee is really, really interesting because we needed to have the right people on the team. And when we look at it, you'll see Bill Lee. We have two members of the Board of Supervisors, Bill Lee and Jason Bellows. Remember, there's 5 members of the supervisors. If we had 3, that means every time that we met, it would have to be in public hearing and that type of thing. So you can only have a maximum of 2 without having to go through all the different regulations that the state has. Julian Patterson, I think most of you know who he is, an entrepreneur, developer of Compass, and several of the restaurants, coffee shops, clothing stores, objects in community, is a very much social investor and community entrepreneur. Jimmy Carter, who's a developer, myself, Susan Cockrell is the town manager, Kilmarnock, Jeff Sapersky, who's here giving me some encouragement. Jeff is the chairman and CEO of Chesapeake Bank, one of the leading banks, leading small banks in the country. Give you a plug there, Jeff. Thank you. There you go. Roy Carter, who's the chairman of our Economic Development Authority. Ty Brent is the chairman of the Lancaster County Planning Commission, and Jessica Davis, who's the superintendent of our schools. So we tried to cover all the bases with folks that we have from part of the county government all the way through the business community. Okay. I don't know, is this mic coming in and out on you guys? It's sounding pretty solid? Okay, good. I'll try to keep it close to my mouth. All right, so in any strategic planning process, we went through the normal type things where we were looking at the community's strengths, its weaknesses, its opportunities, its threats to its existence. And we came back with a vision. And we all had to be able to share a common vision to go forward. And that vision is, and when we talk about a vision, it not necessarily is something that we have right now, but something that we want this community to be. And so when we look at a vision, we started in 2019. We came out of a strategic plan from 2015. So when Lancaster 2035 was thought about, it was 20 years ago. Now it's only 11. But our vision is this: to create an economically successful rural region. And we want to continue to be known for our heritage in arts, water, and nature-based recreation. We want to have a vibrant school system. We want to focus on family values. We want to have safe and affordable living venues for everyone. That's number one. I heard that said, and you are exactly right. Okay? A business-friendly environment that creates jobs, and a place where volunteerism remains abundant. Because most of you in this room probably volunteer on doing something with somebody. And we have had a tremendous culture of volunteerism in Lancaster County that we want to retain. Good afternoon. So, Julian Patterson came up with this tagline at the bottom: Lancaster County, a highly desirable place to live, to work, and to play. And that's what our goal is, so that everyone in this room can say, I live in Lancaster County, because it is a great county for people to live, to work, and to play. Right? So, here was the findings of our research when we were going through our SWOT analysis. 36% of Lancaster County's population is over 65 years old. We are the third oldest age population in Virginia, only surpassed by Highland County and our neighboring community of Northumberland County. And also right behind us is we have Middlesex and Matthews. So when we take all that together, we're one of the oldest regional areas in the country. How about that? And the demographic of this room reflects that. So, if you look at, you resent that? Oh man, I'm part of that.
I said I resented that.
I grew into it here. So, if you look at Virginia's statistics there, and hopefully some of you folks at the back can see that, the demographic of 65 age and older in Virginia is 16.9%, and the median age is 38.8. We're sitting at 57% median age, and 36% over 65. But this is a slide that you all ought to be taking a picture of, because this is the heart of our problem today. It shows that our critical workforce, that is the age 20 to 60, over the last 10 years, we've lost over 700 workers. And because of that, we've lost 120 children. But look at that other number. We've gained a lot of older people. And we need all our older people. They're the ones that are buying our beautiful waterfront and adding so much to our service economy. So we're all important. But there's not going to be anyone left to serve you if we don't change that demographic around. And this slide, if you looked at it for 20 years, I was chairman of another group called Visions. And we commissioned a study similar to this. And in Visions, we did both Lancaster and Northumberland County, for any Northumberland County folks here. The same demographic from the year 2000 to the year 2010 is we lost 647 people in that age group, two counties combined. So we're dealing with a 20-year trend and not just the last 10. Okay? So it is pretty significant. And if you look at what may be going on in the future if we don't change the demographic, look at this. We have about 528 people in the workforce that are under 25 years of age. But we have 1,555 in the workforce that are over 55 and will soon be leaving the workforce. So that change of workforce is not going to change unless we can do something to turn it around. Okay. And Lancaster school system school enrollment from 2014 to today, 1,264 kids to 1,050. Almost 200 children down, or over 200 children down. This slide is a little bit hard to read, but to me, it is vitally important that you understand it. And what it is, up at the top is 2011, Lancaster, Virginia, in the United States. At the bottom set of pie charts is 2021, and it goes Lancaster, Virginia, and the United States. So, if we look at the United States in 2021, 59.9% of the income in a community was earned income from wage earners that are actually working in that community. Okay? In Virginia, in 2021, it was 62.4% that were actually wage earners. In Lancaster in 2021, guess what, guys? It was 34%. 34%. And if you look at the other number, 36.9% was dividend interest and rent. That's the wealthier people that are living here retired on dividends. And the gray part, 28.8% are transfer payments, mainly Social Security and welfare, food stamps. Now, that compares to the Commonwealth of Virginia at 18.6%. So when you look at the trend, and I'm just going to bump up to the top chart, 2011, and if you look at that Lancaster earned income in 2011, it was 38.9%, and in 2021, it's 34.3%. We've lost over 4.6% in the last 10 years on earned income, and that's reflective of losing our workforce. So we have all this data showing that our workforce is going the wrong way. And why do we lose the workers? Overall number of births after the baby boomers, influx of retired residents in second homes, competition for workers, a lot of outside of our community, better opportunities in metro areas, better infrastructure in metro areas, and the unavailable and affordable housing options. Okay? And why does this all matter? And this is very, very, very important for you guys to understand. We have a loss of businesses and trades in the community. Some businesses that have been closed recently, they haven't been able to get adequate workforce. A lot of you guys probably go to Lee's restaurants, right? Lee's in town, Kilmarnock. Just think about that. At one point in time, they were open for breakfast every morning, except Sundays, right? They've always been closed on Sundays. But now they have limited work schedule, and if you ask them, it's workforce issues. And we have a decrease in the number of hours that businesses can be open. So it's affecting us that way. Increases in the financial burden on our health and wellness system as the population ages in place. It places additional demands on our county government to provide emergency and other services. Just think about this. 15 years ago, our entire emergency services was volunteer, right? We have volunteer fire departments still, but do you know today we have emergency services workers on call, paid employees all day long, 24/7. And I can remember just hearing a scanner, and one December, one year, there was one dispatch for an emergency situation, then there was a second dispatch for an emergency situation, and then there was a third, and there was no third emergency vehicle, and they had to dispatch volunteer firemen, which took 15 to 20 minutes to get there. And so, as we age in place, that demand continues to grow, and it's a big, big problem for all of us, because if any of us have an emergency, we wouldn't want our emergency services there right away. It was one of the highest, if you looked at the county budget over the last decade, on a percentage basis, it was one of the largest increasing items in the county budget. Higher taxes on the remaining population as the county decreases in the number of landholders. You know, our county lost about 4% of its population recently in the last demographic. And you guys cannot go home today without seeing a derelict home on the side of the road. right? Just think about that for a moment. That house, at one point in time, was on a tax roll at a much higher level when it was in good shape and people living in it. Now it's just sitting there in ruins, and the county's only getting the tax value of the land, if they're getting that, right? If they're getting that, and if they're not getting that, it's just sitting there on the county roll. And who's making up the difference? Because it takes a certain amount of money to run the government, right? We are. It's impacting us now. And our school system receives less funding from the state government because we have a declining enrollment and we have a wealthy population. And it's a complex formula with many factors, but those factors translate that we get less money per child than some of the other counties in Virginia. It takes a certain amount of money to educate a child. Who's paying for it? We are. So it's not a 2035 problem, it's one that we're all experiencing today. So our goal, a singular initiative, is this: to increase the population of our 20 to 60-year-olds by 20% by the year 2035 to achieve a better demographic mix. What that means, folks, it's only 1,000 people. Okay? This county had a population at one time that was over 12,000 people. We're under 11,000 today. We're just trying to get back what we lost. And we think that we can do it by the 6 strategies that we're going to employ. And it's not going to take a lot. I mean, I'm sure there's young people in these surrounding communities from Hampton Roads to Richmond to Baltimore, Washington, that would love the rural nature of what we do rather than living in a big urban area. So, we have 6 strategies that we're employing. All of them are important. But you see at the top, workforce housing. Workforce housing, dynamic schools, communication, recreation, creating a business-friendly environment, and broadband. Those are our 6 core strategies for future growth, and all are important. And let me define them a little bit better. I'm going to change hands. This one's getting numb. That's when one of those lavaliers would work really well, wouldn't it? Okay, so broadband access to each household. We have a broadband commission, and this year, during the course of this year, every home in the county will have access to broadband, fiber optic broadband. We want to create a business-friendly environment. We would love to have a dynamic, innovative school system with outstanding facilities. It's important to people viewing the community that want to move in and the age demographic we're trying to attract. We want to have housing available for the workforce. We want age-appropriate recreation and lifestyle. And when I say age-appropriate, what we want for a 20 to 30-year-old is different from a 50 to 60-year-old or a 70 to 80-year-old. So when we talk about age-appropriate recreation, we're talking about the whole spectrum of age, right? And then public communication with county residents and officials is extremely important. We want you guys to be empowered to know what's going on in the county, and so that you can be proponents to help us rebuild our working age. And this committee, CBRAC, has got a speakers bureau. I'm one of them. Jeff is another one. He's another great dynamic speaker. Well, maybe, I don't call myself great or dynamic, but he is. and so you can get him at some of your community associations or events. Susan Cockle is also on our speakers bureau. She's an awesome speaker too. So please remember that, because we're trying to get the word out. And we have several people that can come to your community associations and different groups that you may be involved with to help us talk about this to everyone. All right, there we go. So broadband access to all, I already mentioned that. I'm going to go over each of the core strategies with some details now, okay? You saw them in an overview. We're going to take a quick look at what's under the top. So broadband access to all is great, but if you don't have a whole lot of money, you know, it's tough access. So one of the things that we have recommended back to the Broadband Authority is there's lots of grant money out there to really buy down that for people that can't afford it. And we need to start advertising that as the fiber that's now throughout our community comes alive. They call it, when it's sitting in the ground and nothing is happening with it, it's called dark. All right, and so we're lighting up the fiber now. And as we light up that fiber, we want to make sure that everyone can access it, okay? And there are programs, and each one of the providers will have programs. But we need to get the word out that just because you don't have a lot of money doesn't mean you're excluded from getting it. We want to create a business-friendly environment. We want to be able to attract and grow business. But not what you think. We don't want smokestacks. We can't afford large businesses coming in. Even 20, 30 to 40 employers is hard to think about now because we don't have a workforce. And a workforce stops us from having people come in. So we need to attract and grow businesses. We think with the fiber in the ground throughout the whole county that the work from home population can increase, as a lot of folks since COVID are now able to work from home. And they generally bring nice paying jobs into the community. Also, it'll attract, we have a nice business park here in Kilmarnock that is half empty, that can grow with small businesses, technology type companies. We need to attract skilled labor. How many of you guys have looked for a plumber, electrician, or a carpenter lately?
Right.
How long does it take? Can you even find one?
Still waiting.
Still waiting. You're on the northern neck, friend. The promised land. That's exactly right. And that's the problem. That we got to turn around, right? And we need to create incentives and grants to help attract and grow small businesses. And we have an EDA to help do that. And so wrong one. All right, so here's some of our strategies. To hire an economic development director for the county. I'm happy to say, after 2 years, that person is in place right now. His name is John Bateman, and he is awesome. Yes, he just started about 3 weeks ago. He came from the Northern Neck Planning District Commission, where he was on staff there for over 10 years. He knows his way around Richmond, he knows his way around Washington, and he can be a great help to us. And we want to attract and grow businesses. Through that, we want to promote that Lancaster County is open for business. We're going to create a web page that features that. We want easy access to business information, so we want to create an inventory of all the business resources and real estate resources that are available to any individual or company that may want to relocate here. We want to train and coach for new and existing businesses, business incubator. Jillian Patterson and myself have a ministry going on now called Biz and Buzz, and I see some faces around the room that you guys come to us. And it's for business consultation, and then we're running seminars. We had one last week on how to create a business plan. And ultimately, we'd like to have a more formalized process under our EDA so that we can get some training and education for existing businesses so they can run more efficiently, be able to deal with bankers more effectively. And that is creating a business center for resources. We would like to create these incentives and grants through our EDA, and we've asked the county government to fund our EDA a little bit larger, so that if you've got a great idea, a business that you have, maybe 2 or 3 employees, and you want to expand it to 6 or 7, then maybe we can help you out to do that, because there's a tremendous return in tax revenue if we're able to get that done. We're talking with RC's at Rappahannock Community College for workforce development programs, especially dealing with trades like plumbers, electricians, carpenters. We'd like to be able to establish a post-secondary trade school for kids that may not have graduated from high school and don't have a whole lot of direction, but maybe they'd like to be in a trade. In our detailed plan, it shows average wages for tradespeople like that around Virginia, and they run $58,000 to $65,000 livable wages. So if we can get, it helps us, because we all need these plumbers, electricians, and carpenters and HVAC people, and they're not available. And trying to rebuild some of the workforce that may be available is one of our strategies. And I said the last one there, develop a more dynamic economic development authority. Education, some of these are underway. Facilities for the 21st century learning. There's going to be a groundbreaking soon for a new school system. I encourage you to actively support it. We're trying to prepare schools for post-secondary success for students, And in this, it's interesting, a lot of folks don't know this, but of the graduating class in Lancaster County the last several years, about 25%, about a quarter of that graduating class also came out with a degree from Rappahannock Community College under the dual enrollment program. Think about that, 25% of the graduating high school class came out with an associate's degree.
Oh, wow.
And there's another 20 or so percent that were less than 6 credits short of that. So there's lots of good learning going on. The governor's school that children are lucky enough to get into is one of the best learning centers in anywhere. We have a unique partnership with our YMCA's, where now at the Y we have infant care for children as little as 6 weeks old. And we have programs there through 19 months now. And then a partnership with Lancaster County School System and their Early Childhood Development Center for 3s and 4-year-olds. Under state requirements, these children have to be at a certain lower income level, but coming through the Y, it doesn't have to be that way. So we can offer that preschool at the new Early Childhood Development Center for all children, all parents that want to send their children there. So we can talk about today that we have a solution for parents all the way from their children 6 weeks old, all the way through high school. And we're one of the only counties in the state that can say that. And guess what? How many of you guys knew that coming in here until I just told you that? Nobody. That's why communication is so important. Right. So Jessica's gotten a plan for accelerating growth and achievement, and a plan for trying to recruit and retain higher staff. So educational specifics, we'll open the new high school in the fall of 2026. Teacher student skills for success to be addressed. Targeted instructions based on individual needs. We want to create opportunities for more parental engagement. We're trying to reduce absenteeism. We're trying to promote to recruit and retain high-quality teachers. We want to promote, this is a specific thing, promotion of career switches program, which is a program that Jessica has where she's actually trying to take people that are not certified teachers that are already in the school system and get them certified because they're here in the county and they're long-term residents. And one of the problems the school system has had is excessive turnover of teachers, especially after 2 years. We want to be able to celebrate successes of our school system like I talked to you about, but that nobody knows about. So we need to spread the word and talk about our success. In a workforce housing area, this is one of the most important strategies that we have because we can't develop jobs, we can't get new teachers in if we don't have any place for them to live. So workforce housing is a really, really big thing with us. And it may take the creation of public-private partnerships to work it out. We're talking to the National Housing Trust in Washington, D.C., which is a nonprofit that builds houses for rent. And there may be an opportunity over the next year or two for them to start construction of workforce housing in this community. The county owns 150 plus acres of land at the end of Good Luck Road, which is right on the headwaters of the Cortoma, the eastern branch. And we're talking about, and we're doing some feasibility studies now about creating a public-private partnership there where we can develop that 150 acres into a mixed-use community with hiking trails, boat access points, park, and also housing, condos, townhouses, and single-family homes. Just a really, really nice place. And that sits only about 2 miles out of Kilmarnock. And, you know, maybe we can get the authorities to actually run the water and sewer out there to make it more attractive as a public-private partnership. We're thinking about things like that. We're trying to organize them. We're getting some grant funds for development of the plans for that. And we're looking at, lastly, I've actually been talking about economic incentives or grants to attract developers and contractors. We're really hard at work at this. We're looking at conducting a workforce housing study with the Virginia Department of Housing on a grant. This second item is really important. Creating a CDC, Community Development Corporation, with a specific goal of looking at low to moderate housing. Remember I talked about earlier about a lot of land that the county may have taken back that's no longer being used? Well, CDC is an independent nonprofit organization, and they can take grants, donations from any of us, funding land from Lancaster County in there, where they can get money from different sources and help to redevelop some of those properties as a nonprofit organization. And then you see create incentives or grants to attract developers or contractors to build workforce housing. And then lastly, that item there on the bottom, we're studying housing subsidies for county employees. So, I'm going to talk to you about that for a minute or two. Our county is not undifferent from a lot of different counties all across America. The workforce leaving the county is not unique to Lancaster. So if we want to get it back, we have to have attractive things that other counties may not be offering. We have to be able to talk about our quality of life. We got to be able to talk about our educational experiences, the beautiful little downtown areas we have with the boutiques, shops, and the wonderful restaurants. We got to differentiate ourselves from everybody else. And we're going to hope to be able to do that. And how do you do that? How do you hire good teachers when you have to have no place for them to live? Jessica Davis sent out emails to a lot of people in this community several times over the summer and the fall saying, hey, do you have a place for someone to stay? I got this great teacher, but they can't find any place to stay. And you know, a starting teacher's salary in Lancaster County is $47,200. Right? They can only afford $800-900 a month rent. Right? It's a big issue. And so, if there's an apartment available and it's $1,400 a month, it's unreachable. They couldn't stay there. They can't afford it. Too much of their earned income. So what a lot of communities are doing across the country, and we've been studying, I personally have been studying that demographic quite a bit. There are programs now where counties are offering to their public service workers rental subsidies. You come to work for us, and based on certain formulas, you can only afford $900 a month. The apartment's $1,200 a month. We'll cover the gap for you as an incentive to attract and retain. And you know what some other counties are doing? You've been with us a few years now, and you're a good employee. We're going to offer you down payment assistance on a house. And in some communities, they're giving up to $50,000 for someone to buy a home. And they're doing it on what's called cliff vesting. And what that means is, I'm going to give you, Ann, $50,000 to buy the house because you're such a great school teacher. You've been with us for 3 years. You have stellar recommendations. But you know what? We're going to give it to you. You're going to buy that house. You're going to have to live in it 7 years and work for us at least 7 years. Or else we want our money back. Okay? So at the end of 7 years, it's all yours. Prior to then, you're going to owe us that money back. Right? And so think about that in keeping retention of teachers and county and civic workers. We're studying it. I'm not saying it's part of the plan. It's part that we're researching. Recreation. Remember I talked about age-appropriate recreation. We want to develop multiple public access sites. We've got 5 under construction right now. We're going to foster and coordinate recreational programming. The county is hiring a recreational coordinator that's going to look at specifically programs that we once had that we no longer have. Adult softball. When I came up here 30 years ago, we had an adult softball league. We don't have it now. Adult basketball. There used to be adult basketball leagues. We don't have one now. But the groups that we interviewed, focus groups, we interviewed bunches of focus groups. They told us, these are some of the things that we want. You bring 25-year-old school teachers in here, they want something to do at night, right? They want to continue to be active and play sports. So the county has actually created that position, and it's funded that position, and our county administrator is actually hiring for that position. And that goes not only for adults, but for children. We have no youth football anymore. We have no feeder system to a football teams for JV in high school. So the first time that some of these kids are putting on pads is when they are playing JV football in high school, creating injuries and some bad teams over the years. So we want. Sorry about that, guys. So we want to look at that. We want a more vibrant soccer program. Okay, and others. We want to cultivate relationships that continue to promote arts and maritime culture. In fact, one of the recreational sites, and Bruce can talk to this, we're talking about having some sort of cultural exhibits and museums in there to really showcase the nautical industries, the maritime industries that have made this place. Our heritage industries are agriculture and fishing. And we want to celebrate that. How many of you want to eat? Right? You got fish and food, man. We want to celebrate that. So we got 5 new and renovated public water access sites and parks that are being developed for the county, at the county level now. We have two more water access sites planned. Bruce actually chairs a committee. Right down the town park, there's an old landfill that's mounded up and has had no use. And the town council is in planning to put a little mountain biking park there for kids and adults to use. Yeah. Y'all liking that, right? All right. Talked about the director. Public communications, and this is the last one. Communicating the 2035 goals and our action plans is critically important. We want to be able for everyone to be informed and be knowledgeable about what we're doing here and why we're doing it and the importance of what we're doing. We need to communicate externally so that we can attract a workforce in here. And we want to facilitate better communication with our community towns. So we have 3 incorporated towns. Who knows what they are, right? I call it the Tri-City Metroplex. Yeah. And so there, guess what? Those guys hardly talk to each other. So we as a group have recommended a committee established with members of the Board of Supervisors and town councilmen at all the 3 towns, so they're all on the same page. We could be working all together at the municipal government level to make this plan successful. You know what? I'm going to stop right there because I'm past my 45 minutes. But are y'all getting capturing the vision? Do y'all understand why we're doing this? It's for all of us. You know, I've said many times, I worked for this county for almost 30 years. And now it's time for me to retire, and there's no one left to serve me. And that should be the same thing that's talking to all of you too. We need people to help. So if you guys have thoughts or suggestions, you saw the list of names. They're on our website. You can contact any one of us. Pitch in, help us out, give us some thoughts or suggestions, and then stay tuned because we've got some great things happening in our county, and we're going to make it a better place to live, to work, and to play. So guys, I'm open for any questions. Oh, wow. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I noticed in the plan, there's nothing about public transportation. Is anybody looking at that? Cities, the tri-towns.
Yeah.
All right, and for younger population, you know, school kids, if they want to take the bus somewhere, that's, you know, I think we've got one Uber driver who sometimes is available. So I think that's something that would really attract people to consider this a livable area.
That is a great point. And I got a daughter that's getting married in New York City. I may volunteer to be one of those Uber drivers. Okay, so Bay Transit has bus routes. And the county, each of our counties has, when I say each, Northumberland, Lancaster, Richmond County, they all have appropriated funds for bus routes and for a lot of folks that need transportation to or from doctors and things like that. We have actually been studying a bus route that goes between the 3 cities, the 3 towns, excuse me. Okay, and I believe you are exactly right. We need more public transportation access. You see it running some nights, sometimes during the summer. You see that trolley running around on the weekends? Yes, they do. Yeah. Yeah, the streets, sidewalks roll up at 5 o'clock around here, though. Yes, yes. And you can actually direct you can call Bay Transit, and if you don't have a way to get to Memorial Regional or Richmond or anywhere else, you let them know in advance, and they will drive you there and back. Yeah, and that's a service that not many people know about, but it's available. Yes, ma'am?
But what you're talking about is not attracting younger people.
No.
What you're just talking about is for the older people to get, I think what she's saying is like Uber or something, so young people can go out at night or do something and they have some kind
Yeah, accessibility, yes, yeah. Yes, ma'am?
I
Claudette?
noticed, sorry, with the schooling part, I noticed there was no mention of improving how many kids are going to vocational programs while they're still in high school. I mean, I remember it's like you used to be able to go for plumbing, carpentry, electric. I don't even know if we have much of a tech program at the high school level anymore.
Claudette, that's a great question. You know what? I overlooked it because I got a great answer for that I forgot to tell you about. Okay, so this year we're beginning guidance counselors in the school systems all the way down to the 8th grade to career track kids, especially those that may not have any interest in going to college. We have a great VOTEC center in Warsaw that all the school systems in the Northern Neck contribute to. And that school system has everything from auto mechanics in it to all your plumbing and carpentry trades. So we're trying to, but there's been a stigma attached to that. We're trying to reduce the stigma and career track. In addition to that, we are working with RCC on a program called 1+1. And it was been piloted in different school systems around the state now. And what it basically is, you have a senior in high school that wants to be a carpenter, let's just say. So he works for a carpenter part-time while he's a senior. During the summer, he works for that carpenter full-time. He must graduate from high school, or she. When the school year starts the next fall, they enroll at RCC, they complete their classwork to get their degree, and at the end of that, they come back out with a job with that carpenter and a degree at the same time, and hopefully a great career. That's high on the priority list for the school system, 1+1. You'll be hearing more about that. Yes, Andy?
I just wanted to know if any of the schools or the vocational centers are teaching IT or computer skills, because that's what young people are into, and many of those jobs you can do from home.
Yes. The answer to that is yes. There's an active IT program there. Yes. Yes, sir.
Would you remind me of the website again so that we can...
All right. You can Google Lancaster County, Virginia. If you just say Lancaster County, you're going to get Pennsylvania. Yeah. Okay. So Lancaster County, Virginia, and there's a hot link there till 2035. Or the web address is Lancova, Lancova, and lancova.com. That'll take you to the same website. Jeff, you have anything to add?
I don't. It's very thorough. I think from my perspective, employment-wise, back to Paul's point of this is happening for years. We have lost so many people coming into this community for employment because of the school system or because of the housing, and we have just not been able to recruit people. I mean, we have a support facility in Norwich, Virginia, that we had to open just because we could not find gainful employment and staff them in this county. So we need to reverse that. That's been going on for 20 years, actually, for us. Finance, banking. But it's really IT people. It's a lot of marketing people. Marketing people or IT people, mostly in Norwich now for that reason. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any incentives to bring, whether from family members here? So whether it's kids that were here and they've left, bring them back, whether it's this aging population that has children that live all over the nation, bring them back, because I feel like that tie is one of a direct link that, yeah, those are the kids that grew up here, they probably have reasons why they don't want to come back. But we all need parents. We all need, so maybe, is there a link?
You're preaching to the choir. It's one of the things we're talking about. So when I told you we only need 1,000 people, so some of the strategies we're looking at are folks that have had ties to the county. That like you said, a child that's left and now is in Richmond or Washington or Norfolk, or they have parents here, grandparents here, and they love coming to the river, right? And wouldn't it be nice to be able to live there, this place where I had some fond memories growing up? So you're exactly right. That's one of our target strategies. Awesome, thank you.
Because, they probably know also why.
Yes, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I would think like internships, getting like the high school people into jobs, so like working for the bank and doing that kind of one-on-one, working for the bank, working for the hospital, working for doctors. So they're, like you were talking a lot about like the basic jobs, but also the higher level jobs that pay money.
Yes, ma'am. That's on the list. That's on our list. That's in the plan. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like there's some great things that are coming. Number one is the broadband that's going to go countywide this year. The child care, which is huge for folks that are in their 20s and 30s. So is there a plan? And so the people that you probably want to focus requires less workforce development housing are the work from home people that bring their jobs with them. And so I think that, is there a plan to do advertising up in the Washington area, up in Richmond, Norfolk, whatever, and say, hey, these are the good things that are happening here, let them know that these things are available.
Yeah. So in our communications slide, we talked about external communications, and that's part of the strategies. Yes. Yeah, so as much depth as I've given about the plan, there's still other elements that, the plan itself is about 100 pages long, and it's got a lot of those type of strategies outlined in it. And I'm hoping to get that entire plan now that's adopted onto that website in all its detail. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned where are these young people going? That is a major issue. I have children out of, not in this area. They're in their early 30s. They wouldn't want to come here because there's no place for them to go or do anything unless we've got them on jet skis at home or going to the golf course. What else is there? Because even for us, after 9 o'clock, there's no place for even us to grab a drink.
That's the point.
Well, how do you correct that?
Well, we're talking about age-appropriate recreation. Of course, the county's doing some things, but we would like more brew houses, wine tasting things, some things that are going to attract people here later. I think Julian Patterson with Compass, he's got stuff for all ages in there, including a really nice bar that people can socialize in, with the movie theaters and movies for all age groups as well as for the younger. But more attractions like that to make it attractive. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I hear you saying, and I hear it over and over as you spoke, was that the aging population here, we're getting older, we're getting 65 years old. The one thing you have to remember is that is a tremendous resource. Those people bring a lot of experience with them, and they should be on these committees helping you develop direction, because there's people that have got finance. I'm in industrial distribution. I guarantee you there's people in this room that can help you generate jobs and tell you what companies to be attacking if you just get them involved.
You're absolutely right, and that's why I was asking for help. You're absolutely right. You need to call us. We'll take your name. We'll talk with you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You're exactly right. Okay. Oh, hold on, Andy. You've already talked. Let me get the
I have several thoughts. I'm from the city. I'm from a big city, and staffing companies. I did everything like I've told you before. Staffing companies were huge where I was at, and I was part of that. If we could bring a staffing company, that's another, let's employ people, but you have an elderly crowd. I'm sorry, how do you say that? Older crowd. I'm almost there, so I gotta be careful. You guys could help, maybe staff that even voluntarily. I'd be willing to help train if you need to, but I need to make money too. But yeah, if you bring staffing in, then they can staff for all these things that you have. I agree with this gentleman here about hiring, the resourceful and seasoned people, as well as every age group. That's what I've seen. My kids blow me away with their intelligence of what they know today, and IT is huge. They already have that in place. My age group is kind of lost, but the median says 57, I'm 53. So it's like, where am I? Where are we? So I think if you pull from every single age group, some people that want to volunteer first, and then the people that need to be hired. But my biggest question is, you're trying to hire people to hire people. You understand what I'm saying? Like your plan is huge, but you're looking for people. Your plan is huge to get to what? To employ people, more people, to get them to stay. Forgive me. You're not complaining, but I don't know what else word to use there. I know I was a Toastmaster. I'm kind of blank right now, but you're needing to get jobs out there. You're needing to employ these people. You're needing to keep people. You're needing to bring people to, staff these companies, get kids to stay here. You want to put people in these businesses, but yet, what does that require? It means we need to get them in there. Okay, so now I'm trying to keep these businesses here and employ them, but where are you getting all these people from to do that? So it's like a double whammy. So I'm trying to figure out, I know you guys are smart, and I know Julian's smart as anything, so I know it'll figure itself out, but I think that your volunteers are probably going to be your most important resource, and these people that are seasoned and have something to contribute. If everyone contributes something, everybody in this room contributes something. I figured out there was about 100 people I was sitting here counting. There's at least 100 people. If everybody does one thing, then I think you'll have your plan. That's all I want.
It takes a community. Yes, and volunteerism as abundant is one of our core principles, right? We recognize all the volunteerism in this community. It's been awesome. Look at just our committee. We're all volunteers. And most of us you'll find on several different nonprofit boards volunteering. We got a tremendous amount of talent here, and we want to use it. We want to use every resource and asset that we possibly have. This is everyone. It's going to take everyone to help change the dynamic. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one question. Has your committee worked with other counties or municipalities facing the same issues in the state? Like the Virginia League of Cities, or have you reached out?
Yeah.
You have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good thought in there. Early on, we invited Lancaster County to join us, and they were not interested. Northumberland County to join us, and they weren't interested. But several of us are members of the Northern Neck Planning District Commission, which I'm a member of that, and it's headquartered in Warsaw. And and some of the initiatives that we have take more than one jurisdiction to get a grant. Jeff is on the Go Virginia, which requires multiple jurisdictions to get a grant. So we're looking at all that. Yes, ma'am. Oh God. Any plans for apartment complexes? There's several on the books right now. It's just the developers getting the funding and getting them started. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to offer something. I'm waiting for this meeting so I can maybe suggest a little additional insight to what we're doing here. Every year comes pretty fast. And I think the committee has done a wonderful job in putting together these 6 strategies. But when I read over the 100-page document that involves this, if I can, will that cover better? I also found that I thought there was something seriously missing. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention, please. I thought, well, without this one additional concept, maybe this will all be for naught, because the one thing that we're not talking about, which will impact the future of this county and our business and our lifestyle, is to protect the view shed. the view shed, the beauty of this county. And what I'm saying is that I know that everyone here will agree that we have wonderful opportunities to participate in this wonderful the forest, the water, the agriculture, the aquaculture, the opportunities for adventure and experiences, right? So when we speak of an improved economy, of new companies that will enhance our workforce, of affordable homes, of educational facilities and well-paid educators who can launch successful futures for our children, we're giving everything, we've been given everything to bring newcomers and especially visitors to this land. But friends, I think you will know where I'm going. Our homeland is filled with an unsettling blight. Look at the trash so carelessly thrown along our roads. Look at the junk and abandoned vehicles strewn throughout our land. Look at the dilapidated buildings that lay entangled with the overgrowth that once was filled with family, life, and brightness. And look at the forest harvesting that leaves behind a scattered and abandoned display of decades of long rot blot that sits along our scenic highways. In other words, how can we expect people and to invite them into our home, into our homeland, if we're not willing to take the steps to clean it up? And we'll enlighten our citizens to simply care, to enforce the abandoned car regulations that already exist, to find grants to develop a program to remove dilapidated buildings, and establish regulations to prevent the ultimate spread of roadside billboards advertising, which will certainly come if we don't stop it now. And to require an uncut setback when harvesting forests along our viewshed. So these are just some notes that I've made, and I know that there are certainly more that we can do in this regard, but I urge this committee to add this incredibly important element to the plan. I suggest strategy number 7. Keep Lancaster beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ernie?
I think we're going to have to cut this off.